The Nile crocodile. Dangerous, deadly, and widely feared. Nowhere more so than in the heart of Mozambique. There, along the murky water's edge of the Zambezi River, crocodiles look at man as a food source. When people and animals collide, things are never simple. In this wildlife-human conflict, I'm often called in to seek out the truth, to find out what's really happening on the front line. My name is Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. I'm on the Zambezi River in western Mozambique. Here, the river's murky waters wind their way for hundreds of miles through a maze of floodlands and channels before reaching the eastern coastline. I've been here once before. Indeed, the memories from my first investigation here include many I would like to forget. As I've experienced firsthand, crocodiles are a constant threat to the people living on this river. My past solution, although necessary at the time, left me feeling deeply conflicted. There has to be a better way to help these people and to help the wildlife. I've returned to further investigate the issue and to identify a potential solution to this wildlife-human conflict. I know that people are being attacked by crocodiles, but how regularly and under what conditions? The best place to start looking for answers is from the local people who inhabit the area. We've got some fishermen here paddling along, and that's a great place to start, just because these guys know the river like the back of their hand. The bush telegraph works very well here, and they know everything that's going on. They're kind enough to show me their catch and answer my questions. These guys are just returning from a night's fishing. They've caught a bunch of these squeakers. What they tell me is that just upstream here, there's a guy that went missing 3 days ago. They said there's been several people over the last few months, but in particular, just 3 days ago, a guy went missing from a village just upstream here. This guy, nobody really knows what happened to him. He just didn't come back from his fishing. He's got a wife and some children. We're going to go and see if we can find them. Up and down here, they fish every day. You can see just how close to the water they are, and they're living under constant threat. I head upstream. In this river, when a person is missing, a croc is almost certainly to blame. I'm led to believe that this is the area where this guy has gone missing. I'm just cruising very slowly along the edge of the river here. There's tall reed beds, and then there are these kind of tunnels where these people pull in their boats. Nobody here. Just gonna carry on a little bit further. Here's some people. What did I do? Ndazinzwa kuti kune wanu wakajiwa nengweni hapa? Hapa? Oh. Oh, nakoko. All right. What they tell me is that is indeed true. There is somebody that went missing just a couple of days ago. And they say I must go in the next tunnel up here. And they make these tunnels. And that's the way they get on and off their boats. It's the way they offload their fish. They do all of their washing, and there's no way around them coming down and getting in this water. And the thing is, it's sticking out from the bank probably 20 feet. So you've got all this floating vegetation that can harbor anything. It really can. Okay, here we go. I'm wondering if this could be the spot. With several boats docked here, I would normally expect the landing to be bustling with people. Something isn't right here. With no one on the shore to talk to, I'll need to find the village on foot to continue my search. Before long, I find someone to speak to.
Yewe, ndiripo. Ndazinzwa kuti arikupi?
Alikucha.
Oh, tiende tumratizai. What she tells me is indeed we are in the right spot. She's just been out here picking beans, and she's going to actually hopefully take me to the village where this lady lives, and maybe we'll get to meet her. You know, you walk up here and you realize, just from a subsistence perspective, how much these people really rely on this river. You're just walking up through the millet fields. Everything's on a very small scale, designed just to feed the family or the extended family. And one thing that springs to mind is every time you come across a group of people, just the number of children, the number of young people, as opposed to the number of adults. Not a lot of adults.
As we approach, a strange sound can be heard emanating from the village. As I get closer, the distinct sound of human anguish fills the air. What am I walking into?
I'm not sure what's happening here.
My name is Ivan Carter. While investigating the conflict between humans and crocodiles along the Zambezi River, I've been led to a village where a man recently went missing. I suspect a crocodile is to blame. In this part of the world, wailing is a customary form of grieving. Recurring several times a day, the amount of wailing reflects the level of grief. Their anguish is clearly immeasurable.
These are both of his wives, and these are his kids and his extended family here.
The first wife, Tekedza, tells me her story.
He disappeared last Sunday. Very early in the morning, he was out there cutting reeds. It's hot at this time of the year, so they often do that kind of labor very early in the morning. And so he was out cutting reeds. He was on his own. Nobody really knows whether he was in his boat or not, but the bottom line is that he's gone, and all they found was the empty boat. So she and her 9 kids, she's got 4 older kids and 5 smaller kids that all rely on this guy, and he's cutting reeds to make the sleeping mats at this time of the year. That's what they do. And each day he would have been out fishing, and she doesn't know how she's going to feed now that he's gone.
The second wife, Lichadi, also agrees to answer some questions.
She's lived all her life in this area. She hasn't been married to this guy for very long. It's very customary to have several wives, but it also means a lot more dependence. And so, when your main provider is gone, it's a big deal. This is what these people live with every single day. It's a very harsh world out here, and these people haven't just lost the head of their family. They've also lost their main provider, the person who was cutting reeds for their beds, the person who plans their crops, the person who catches their every meal. This is not just an isolated incident.
Once I leave here, the whaling will continue for several more days. But the hardships of living without a main provider will continue for far, far longer. Finding this family, this incident, was far too easy. How many other villages have suffered a loss like this? I traveled to a nearby community to learn more.
So just looking through, everybody's here bathing, and this is a bathing day. The fishermen have brought their catch in. This is the time of day that everybody's in the water, and obviously that's where these things are happening.
Within seconds of my arrival, I find several locals who bear scars from their encounters with crocodiles. Clearly, attacks are more common than I thought.
She was getting water from the river. The water was just at her ankles. A crocodile actually bit her on the foot and dragged her. You can see how the teeth have actually scraped through that wound. Luckily, she had a lot of friends with her. As you can see, it's a very social place, and they grabbed her arms and managed to pull her up the bank. But in the meantime, the crocodile really ripped into her feet. Had those friends not been there, this is possibly somebody who would have been a missing person as well.
The people show me many scars, small and large, but they tell me of one boy in their village who's had a particularly harrowing experience. Edmore tells me firsthand his blood-chilling story.
Edmore was fishing out on his boat when a crocodile came and grabbed him by his head and his shoulder off the back of the boat.
Luckily, one of his legs hooked up on the edge of the boat, and the croc wasn't able to pull him all the way in. His friend leapt forward and started beating the croc with a paddle. The croc let go, and his friend hauled him back into the boat. You can see here from all of the puncture marks and the wounds, the fourth tooth is the biggest.
The most distinct feature of the fearsome Nile crocodile, their gauntlet of 80 teeth, is terrifying to behold. Not only razor sharp, their powerful jaws have been measured to carry a combined bite force of up to 3,700 pounds per square inch.
You can see these are very definitely puncture wounds here, possibly the crocodile adjusting its grip. You can see where the crocodile's teeth, scraped across his scalp. It looks like this is a rip mark from a tooth grinding across the top of his skull and down the back of his skull as well. Truly these people, when they venture out on the water, they face death every single day, and Edmore was very lucky that day. Very, very lucky indeed. Very lucky to get away with his life and very lucky to still have all of his limbs. As I'm learning, not everybody's this lucky.
Edmore's story is telling. If not for the help of his nearby friends, he surely would not be here today.
You can imagine from that age, this is where these people make their living, is out of this water. And if from that age, as well as understanding the danger of the water, you also get blasé. Nothing happens for a few weeks or a few months, and you stop taking the amount of care that you really need to, and before you know it, somebody goes missing. And then for the next few months after that, everybody's really careful. But they're in this water every day, and it's very obvious to me when you've got this number of people along a river's edge in the water for so many hours a day, stuff's going to happen. It really is.
Although the river brings life to those who use it, clearly it harbors a hidden danger. As I travel further upriver to another village, I'm struck by the enormity of the problem.
Just miles and miles and miles of these little channels, but actually they're a lot wider than you think. It's just that this grass that floats on the surface hides the main expanse of water. So it's perfect crocodile habitat, and what makes it so scary is the fact that these crocodiles are out of sight. There's a lot of crocodiles here, but it's also the perfect place for these fishermen to come and fish. They like to put their nets across these channels. That results in them spending a significant amount of time in the water, right inside the crocodile's habitat. In the reeds here, there's a little channel that just curves in here. This is the main access to this village that we're going in to visit. It's actually pretty tough getting the boat through here. It's hard to believe that in today's world that there's places this remote, and the people that are living here, the threats that they face in their day-to-day life are pretty much the same threats that they faced 4, 5, 6 generations ago. It's hard to believe that in the modern world there's people that are still worrying about crocodiles. Yeah, way. Well, this is certainly a village with a lot of people in it, and they certainly obviously spend a lot of time in the water. Let's see what's been going on here.
I'm immediately told of a man with a grievous crocodile injury, and I'm taken to him.
Well, we're just moving through a series of villages here. It's actually a maze of little pathways to this guy that's apparently got this big injury.
His name is Sauri, and I find him in his home.
So, wakaita sei mawoko yenu?
He was out fishing all night, and he came back to the village where he was cleaning the fish. As he went to wash the fish, a crocodile came and grabbed his arm holding the fish.
My name is Ivan Carter. While investigating the human-crocodile conflict on the Zambezi River, I found Sauri, a croc attack survivor who has begun to tell me his story.
So, wakaita sei mawoko yenu?
He was out fishing all night, and he came back to the village where he was cleaning the fish. As he went to wash the fish, a crocodile came and grabbed his arm holding the fish. Dragged him under the water. All he saw was just the green of the water and darkness, and he thought there's no chance. His friends came, and luckily they grabbed his legs and started pulling in the other direction.
The crocodile spun at that point, broke the bone, and with the people pulling back on him, the crocodile ripped his arm off. He was able to put his head up and finally breathe. And he was pulled up on shore. For 3 years, he was too scared to go into the water because of this. And so he would just stay on the bank and count the fish and help the fish traders. But now these days, he goes back onto the water. As one looks at this kind of scenario, we're just so blessed to have choice. Some people have no choices. And in spite of the fact that a crocodile nearly dragged him to his death, he still goes out on the water to fish because that's what he's got to do.
As I leave his home, I come across more survivors of croc attacks. They show me many scars on their hands and on their feet. It seems limbs are an easy target for the attacking animals.
What I'm starting to see is with the volume of croc attack survivors, even if they don't have a lot of scars on them, the reason they don't have a lot of scars is because the croc didn't get a good grip and wasn't able to pull him in the water. Because if it got a good grip, they probably wouldn't have escaped. So it's becoming very clear that these people that are living close to the water, in the croc's habitat almost every day, are the people that are getting wounded and they're becoming statistics.
I've gained valuable knowledge here and thank the villagers for their help.
All right, bye-bye.
I've learned everything I can here. It's time to take action. Many predators, crocodiles included, are most active at night. I'm hoping to use this to my advantage and to create an opportunity to see these creatures up close.
One of the things about shining a spotlight at night is that many of the animals have a reflective cornea. It's something called a tapetum lucidum, which reflects back red, and crocs are no exception. And so with my spotlight, I can cruise along a bay like this and very easily pick out all of the crocodiles that are in the area. These crocs are night hunters. They see very well at night and they're very active at night. And it's probably a very good time for me to get to see what crocs are in the area. So I thought this was a great way to start. Shining my light from side to side, I can already see a couple of these red reflections coming back from the water's edge. So we'll cruise in a little bit closer just quietly and see if we can get close up to these crocs, see what we can learn from being out here at this time of day.
It's surprising how many young crocodiles we see within the first moments of our hunt. Surprising and nerve-wracking.
For every one crocodile that you see in its natural environment like this, there's 5 that you don't see. That's a pretty scary statistic based on the fact that I've already seen probably 7 or 8 sets of eyes and we've only been out here for a very few minutes. Here's our first 3 or 4 footer. We're just going to try and ease a little bit closer to him. Here he is right here. See him in the middle of the light.
The other advantage to using a spotlight is that it confuses the croc's sense of sight, making for an easier target. But one cannot discount their highly acute reflexes.
So quick. As I reached out, I think he saw my hand and just so quick. Anyway, better luck next time. You know, catching crocs really is a 2-man deal. You've got to have somebody to drive the boat and hold the light while you're leaning out there grabbing. And there we go. There we go. You can see his eye there. So I brought with me Brandon Pentolfi, who for most of his life has been surrounded by crocs. His dad's one of the croc experts of Africa, and so I'm in great hands as far as somebody to help me with this part of the mission.
Brandon is no stranger to working with and among crocodiles. The Pentolfi family is also the owner and operator of a nearby crocodile farm.
That looks like a much bigger one, eh? We've got a much bigger crocodile in the light right now that we're going to see if we can approach.
Silently as I can, I get ready to make my move. My name is Ivan Carter. I'm investigating why and how so many people are being attacked by crocodiles here in Mozambique.
The crocodile ripped his arm off.
I've come out at night to get a better idea of how many crocodiles populate the area and hope to see one up close.
Look at that. Just look at the strength of this thing. I mean, this is just a couple of feet long, and look at the strength of him. Now you can imagine a crocodile that's 12 feet long. Look at the teeth on him. Man, you don't want to put your hand in there. On his back feet, he has 3 claws but 4 toes. So his back toe doesn't actually have a claw on it. Look at the front foot. He's got 5 toes but only 4 claws as well. That back toe, once again, no claws. When he's swimming as hard as he can go, he'll fold his legs up against his body, and you can actually see they're very streamlined. See how the back part of the leg, a little bit like the foil of a wing? The vertical pupil can open a lot wider than a round pupil can. So any snakes or lizards that have a vertical pupil, that symbolizes a nocturnal animal or an animal that is active at night. Just look at these jaws. Look at how the teeth interlock. This animal truly is the perfect predator. He's unchanged for millions of years. And the only difference between this croc and one that's 60, 70, or 80 years old is the size of his prey. And truly, as this guy grows up, as he becomes a 2,000-pound monster, he's going to absolutely eat anything he can overpower, including man.
Dawn brings a new day, and I'm headed back to the Pentulfi Croc Farm to see some fully grown crocodiles and to witness firsthand what these beasts are capable of. Crocodiles have lifespans similar to humans, living to be 60, 70, or even 80 years old in the right conditions. Such is the case with the many breeder crocodiles living comfortably here on the farm. But that makes them no less fierce than their wild counterparts.
You know, we've seen and spoken to a lot of villagers now that have had croc attacks and have escaped. And so I've come here to the croc farm to try and see the strength of these crocs. How hard can they pull? How hard can they grip? And, you know, what really is the chance of escape? And I think that this is probably the best place to carry out that experiment.
How strong really is a croc? And how big do they need to be to drag a human into the water?
I've got a big chunk of meat here. What I'm going to do is throw this into the pen, get one of these bigger crocs to actually grab onto it, and just see how much strength it takes to hold that croc. We've just spoken to a guy that actually lost his arm. Lost his arm because his friends pulled in one direction and the croc pulled in the other. I want to see what it takes to actually escape from a croc. If a croc were to bite your hand and you had to simply just pull away from it, what does that take?
The trick will be to conduct the experiment without becoming the croc's next meal.
I'm going to start off with just one of these small crocs, and we'll see if we can get it into their mouth before any of the big guys come in.
They see the meat and react instantly, fighting for the first bite.
Now this is a small crocodile. This is all I can do to pull this croc out of the water. And it's only about 8 foot. That was only an 8-foot crocodile. And just an 8-foot crocodile, it was all I could do to pull him out of the water. And even then, I only managed to pull him a couple of feet. You can see his teeth marks. He's absolutely ripped into this chunk of meat. And then he started to roll, and exactly as that fisherman described. When there was pressure, the crocodile rolled, broke the bone of his arm, and then pulled his arm off. We've now got about a 12 or 13-foot crocodile. To be honest, just looking at those jaws like that, it's not without a little bit of trepidation that we try this next experiment. I'm going to try and throw it to this big guy and see if there's any chance at all that I can hold him. I just don't want that rope to catch around my leg. That rope around my leg will probably mean not just a chunk of meat, but me as well. You ready? Here we go.
Sometimes it's not the strongest that gets the first bite, but rather the quickest. We quickly retrieve the meat from our little saboteur and try again.
Ready?
The giant croc has learned from his mistake and he grabs the meat without hesitation. My name is Ivan Carter. I'm at a Pentolfi croc farm in Mozambique, conducting an experiment to determine just how large a crocodile needs to be to effectively drag somebody into the water. I toss the meat to the crocodile, and am quickly met with opposition.
No way, no way.
The crocodile is shockingly powerful. He drags me straight towards the snapping frenzy.
There's absolutely no way. Okay. Absolutely no way. Until that crocodile shifted his grip, and possibly that's how these people are escaping. When a crocodile shifts his grip, they manage to get their arm or their leg out of its mouth. That crocodile was physically pulling me down the bank. It was all I could do to try and stop it. No way. All of the bones are broken in here. All of the meat is smashed. As soon as these crocodiles really pull, they'll very often adjust their grip. That is exactly why there's more scars than dead people. As soon as they shift their grip to get ready to swallow, you're able to pull it out of their mouth. I actually got some rope burn on my hands. It's all I could do to even just slow that crocodile down. There's no way. And amazingly enough, it doesn't take a very big crocodile to do that. And so I think a lot of these people with scars on their hands and their legs are probably taken by crocs that aren't necessarily that huge.
Clearly, any adult crocodile will take advantage of an opportunity for a quick meal. And regardless of size, they become a dangerous adversary. In my investigation of the crocodile-human conflict along the Zambezi River, I've spoken to the family members of missing loved ones and witnessed the devastating effects an attack has on a community. Croc attacks are happening frighteningly often. Scars are common among both young and old, and vary greatly in size and severity. In almost every case, the only thing that prevented the certain death of these people was the swift action of their friends. With the help of Brandon Pentolfi, I've confirmed that a large number of crocodiles inhabit the area, and I've witnessed firsthand the power of even the young specimens. I conducted a test, and the results suggest that in fact any crocodile at all will take advantage of an opportunity for an easy meal. And regardless of size, they're a dangerous adversary. What I haven't learned, however, is a solution to the conflict these people are facing. In the past, I was forced to take drastic action to prevent a mass culling of the crocodile population. In an effort to find a less fatal solution, I turn once again to the man who knows more about crocodiles than I could ever hope to learn in my few days here. Brandon tells me that the larger crocs that I faced earlier are part of a breeding program. Larger, older crocs tend to make for the best breeders, and on occasion he has to transport these crocs to new areas within the farm. The solution to my problem may be right in front of me. With Brandon's help, a plan begins to take shape. Using his live capture trap, I'll attempt to catch one of the large wild crocs in the area. If successful, Brandon agrees to place a croc in one of his breeder enclosures, taking it away from the conflict area.
So the whole idea is that this pin holds onto that, just the very tip of the pin. Then we've got some plastic coated cable here, which has got absolutely no stretch whatsoever. I've just got to lengthen it just perfectly so that this plastic coated cable runs along the top of the trap, and as he pulls down on that meat, he's going to pull this out and hopefully trigger the trap if I get this all set up right. Right, let's see if this all works. A big croc coming in here. He'd come in here to the smell of this bait. Now we've set the trigger pretty hard so that a small croc or a monitor lizard or anything else that messes with the bait won't be able to trigger this. So a crocodile comes here, we've seen the strength of a crocodile. He pulls at this, and he's in the trap. Very simple, and hopefully very effective. I think we've put all the necessary care and attention into setting the trigger mechanism, and hopefully tomorrow we catch a man-eater.
My name is Ivan Carter. After several days spent investigating croc attacks in the region, I finally found what I hope to be a viable solution to the crocodile-human conflict here: live capture.
This is a perfect time of day to be getting this all ready. Very often crocodiles are active as the sun starts to go down and during the nighttime as well. And so, the dusk is the time where everybody's washing, they're in the water. It's the most dangerous time to be in the water. It's also the time that crocs are going to be out there looking for food, so great time to set the trap.
We take the trap into one of the swampy channels near a village. We'll need a quiet and undisturbed location if this plan is to work. Crocodiles are ambush predators, able to remain underwater for up to 30 minutes. They will lie in wait in deep underwater channels, commonly found near riverbanks. This puts crocodiles and humans in dangerously close proximity with one another. We work together to get the cumbersome trap into the water and move it into an effective position. There's not a croc in sight, but don't be fooled. They are here, huge and numerous.
This is exactly what I hope for. What we've been able to do is back this trap up so that it's level with this line of reeds. And hopefully, with the deep water channel here and everything else as far as crocodile habitat goes, we're going to be right on the money here.
My good friend and partner, Livy, personally inspects and adjusts the trap's position.
Good.
His expertise is, as usual, an integral part of this operation's success. The most important piece, the bait, is set. With the trap prepared, we leave for the night. While we've seen how voracious they can be, a croc can go for over a year without food, and are known to be wary when choosing their prey. Tempting though it may be, our bait may not convince one of these patient predators to enter the trap. After a long night of waiting, we head back to check the trap.
Okay, I'm just looking through the reeds now. I'm not quite able to see the trap.
Will it be empty, or will it hold 2,000 pounds of man-eating fury?
Okay, the door's down. The door's down. Okay, so we've definitely got something in the trap. I can see some ripples there.
My name is Ivan Carter. In an effort to reduce the crocodile-human conflict in an area of Mozambique, I'm attempting to live capture a crocodile to relocate it to a safer environment. I've returned to the trap to find something dangerous inside.
Now that's a big crocodile. Look at that big blunt nose. Whew. Man, this makes me very happy. Very, very happy.
Now for the tricky part. Safely restraining this incredibly powerful beast.
He's certainly not very happy about this whole situation. But I tell you what, he's a lot happier than if we'd had to shoot him. You can tell by that big rounded snout that he's an old croc. Right, now what the goal is here is to get the first rope around his armpits, the second rope around his neck, a third rope around that bulge of his nose. But let me tell you, with a croc this size, this is a whole different deal. Right. I'm just going to rewire this just to give it a bit of extra strength. These things are prone to jumping and trying to bite you when you open one of these gates. What's probably going to happen the first few times I put the stick in to try and rope him, he's going to thrash at it, he'll probably bite at it. It could get a little western, but the reality is he'll soon calm down and we'll be able to get a rope over him.
I try and slide the rope around the gaping jaws of the croc. But it has something to say about that. I try again. This croc is particularly hostile.
You saw that hole.
Things have gotten interesting.
Big crocodile, really big crocodile. We're just going to keep our movements nice and calm, nice and smooth, and that way hopefully minimize the stress.
I manage to get the rope around his nose. Carefully, I slide it towards the croc's waist, but I need help.
Okay, push the rope in, push the rope.
We finally get the rope past its jaws and cautiously push it into position.
Okay, that would have been what happened to your arm.
This croc will not go quietly.
Carter's War would like to thank the following people and organizations. Without their help, this program would not be possible.
My name is Ivan Carter. In an effort to protect both local humans and crocodiles in western Mozambique, I've managed to trap a crocodile, and I'm now attempting to restrain it for transport. The croc, however, is not making things easy.
Yeah, look at those teeth. Can you imagine that thing latching onto your leg? Okay, that's around his front leg, I think. This truly is a very big animal.
The first rope is in position. 2 more to go. The team works swiftly to get the red rope around the giant croc's neck. And finally, a third blue rope around his nose to keep his powerful jaws shut. With the croc firmly restrained, we work to move his massive bulk into the open.
1, 2, 3, toes up. Pull. 1, 2, 3, pull. 1, 2, 3, pull. Okay. Once you close his eyes, the danger's halved.
Amazing. Just what closing his eyes does. It gives him a completely calming effect. Look at this thing. Look at the very size of him. I'm about 6 foot. If I lie down next to him, there's my feet. Not even close. This thing's 13 and a half, 14 feet in my estimation. Look at this. Look how wide he is. Just an unbelievable beast. Look at these claws and look at the webbing here. I mean, they don't use their feet much for swimming. It's more for steering than actually paddling. It's all in the power of their tail. Just look at the thickness here. I mean, it's a couple of hand spans around. It's just a massive, massive animal. Whew. It's a strong animal. Right.
With the croc secure, we quickly work together to move the 14-foot monster into the boat. It's a tight fit.
What an incredibly successful culmination of days and days of work and thought and... Man.
We transport the croc to where Brandon has agreed to meet us. He'll take the animal back to his breeding crocodile pens. If the wild croc can adapt to his new home, then we'll have a proven system for moving potentially dangerous crocodiles out of harm's way.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, good news.
Good, man. Good to see you. Tomo, how are you? Good, man. Lekker. Well, I think you got you a breeder here, eh? Excellent. These are all the local guys. They've just kind of come out of the woodwork as soon as they heard that there was a crocodile in the trap. It's amazing how fast these bush drums work, and all very eager to help. And we've sure made a difference to the villagers on this stretch of river. What we're going to do now is we're going to load him up. The crocodile farm folks are here. We're going to load it onto their boat, and he's going to finish his days up in the breeding program up on the lake, where he's going to have great value, and he's going to live a long and a prosperous life. Right, you carry it now.
It's inspiring to receive the villagers' help in moving this enormous beast, a beast they normally view as a threat. While as a conservationist I'm elated with our success today, to receive their support is a greater reward than I could ever hope for. We pour water on the cold-blooded crocodile in order to keep it from overheating, a vital step in keeping it comfortable during its journey to the breeding pens.
Thanks, hey guys. Cool. Safe travel. What a great and a happy ending, an ending that, truly I wish wasn't necessary. I wish it wasn't necessary to remove a croc from this ecosystem, but in reality, sending it off to a breeding program where it's got huge value is so significantly more than just having to shoot it or having the locals take matters into their own hands and kill it for themselves. What a great ending.
That being said, this is a solution of necessity. The crocodile is alive, true, but it will never swim in the wild again. And it's because we as humans have taken its territory. Once again, when humans and wildlife collide, the wildlife loses. If you would like to learn more about this episode, or if you'd like to support these people on the front line, please go to carterswar.com.